Howdy, folks. I've been reading mostly humorous bits and funny pieces, and I'll mostly stick to that. We've all got plenty of heavy right now. But I thought tonight I wanted to read just the opening paragraphs to one of the most meaningful pieces I've ever been allowed to write. And it's from the book Danger Man Working. It's the first piece in that book. And as I said in the introduction to Danger Man Working, when I explained what it's like to be a freelance writer, I said, and finally, there are those stories in which I realize once again that as a writer, I find my greatest privilege lies not in telling my story, it lies in being trusted to tell the story of another. And this story began one day when I got a call from an editor, and he asked me out of the blue, "Can you climb Mount Rainier?" And I said, "Yeah," because that's the only answer when you're self-employed. But ultimately, this story was deeply meaningful and a profound experience. And I just want to read the opening paragraph so you meet the two main characters. The story was not about me. Yesterday, retired Army National Guard First Lieutenant Ed Salau slipped the scarred stump of his left leg into a $30,000 hydraulic-fitted carbon fiber and titanium prosthesis and headed for the top of Mount Rainier. He didn't make it. But the end of the climb is not the end of the story. The story is how Salau, a trim man who still carries himself with the bearing of his 12 years as a Marine, stomped his way up to Camp Muir, well short of the summit, but well above the clouds. How he went barefoot in the snow. Why, even knowing he would go no higher, he spent an afternoon flinging himself face first into the slush, rehearsing self-arrest and getting kicked in the noggin for his efforts. And then there are all those terrific campfire tales only a one-legged man can tell. The one about the kid in Dunkin' Donuts, the one about the woman in the bar, and the one where he tells his teenage boy, "Son, I will plant my foot in your ass and leave it there." The one about spotting the guy with the grenade launcher right about the time it fired. There will be time for the stories, but right now it's late afternoon. The light is beginning to flatten across the Cowlitz Glacier. Several climbing groups are preparing for summit attempts, and there's a bustle of to and fro throughout the smattering of tents pitched in the Muir Notch. Salau's group will strike out at 11 p.m., hoping to stand atop Rainier by morning. Earlier, the guides huddled, and then one of them, Art Rausch, who has summited Rainier 150 times, separated from the group to speak quietly with Salau. "We've talked it over," said Rausch, "and it's just not going to work." Ed Salau understands why he is being left behind. Despite everything he has done since his last two-legged day on Earth, skydiving, water skiing, downhill skiing, running, he has learned, he says, that you're not going to go anywhere that one leg won't let you go. It's not about admitting defeat. Rather, it is about acknowledging reality. And there's strength in that. But right here in the moment, he cannot lie. He is not happy. That is why he has taken himself away from the group to stare off at the foothills of eastern Washington, to watch them go orange as the day fades. He has walked away from the tents a good distance. His back is turned to the campsite. He holds himself ramrod straight between the crutches, and he wishes he were somewhere else. He feels, he says, like the last kid picked. Down among the tents, Captain Scott Smiley is trying to rest. He's propped against a backpack awaiting supper. Smiley's a big man, broad-shouldered, with the reasonable musculature of a pre-steroidal tight end. His catalog-worthy features, bold but proportionate nose, wide cheekbones, and a solid outcropping of jaw, are nicely normalized by a grin just crooked enough and ears just jug enough to cast him as a corn-fed kid. In the fading sunlight, Smiley has yet to remove his sunglasses, and they conceal the most striking feature of all, two luminous blue eyes. Smiley's a decorated soldier whose war experience has received a lot of press coverage, and invariably the photographers focus on those beautiful eyes. The eyes are not real. Smiley wears them as much as for us as for himself. When he steps off toward the mountaintop tonight, it'll be dark, but Smiley has grown used to dark. In 2005, while on patrol in Mosul, Iraq, Smiley spotted a car that squatted low to the ground. The driver was motionless behind the wheel. Suspecting the car was loaded with explosives, Smiley considered shooting, but nothing is certain, so he hollered and fired warning shots. The driver slowly raised both hands, says Smiley, and then the car just disappeared. So the rest of that piece is just, there's nothing about me in there. It's not a story about me. I climbed beside these two men and did my best to tell their story, both the story of climbing the mountain and the story of who they were and how they came to be there. And again, it was just one of those stories that I felt privileged to be allowed to write, a story that I felt privileged to share. So I ain't climbing no mountains tonight, at least no literal ones, maybe some metaphorical ones, as are we all. But I hope you're well. I hope you're taking care of each other, and forward.